I'm wondering if we think about game-changing moments often as the negative moments that end up being positive later, but a moment where somebody shares something with you about yourself, you're really a bad listener. You are really doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like having the rug pulled out from under you, and maybe at first you're defensive, or not, and you say to yourself, I need to rethink a little bit about myself, and then you think about it and you make a change. So I'm wondering, not the easiest topic to talk about, but any game-changing rug pulling out from under you moment that you had either in life or career?
Sure, so many, right?
So many, okay.
Yes, these
Fantastic.
are the things that help you learn and help you grow. Otherwise, we wouldn't be evolving. And since I want to help humanity to evolve, I'm the first one who has to evolve as well. Sometimes it was even too much purpose, because if you devote all your time, all your energy to your purpose, similar than when you worked too much, right? I don't like the word working, by the way, because when I do things that are purpose driven, I see myself contributing more than working, contributing to the world. But if you contribute too much, if you are doing things all the time, you start missing things. You start missing meaningful time with family, friends, and people who care with you, about you. Yes, sometimes some friends, family, but I remember my daughter, who is now 8 years old, and I was traveling so much. I used to travel too much, I would say. And someday she told me, "Daddy, I have an idea," and I was like, "Yes, what is this idea?" And she told me, "You are not going to travel anymore, and if you travel, I will go with you." And at that time, yeah, I had to put myself in another room and cry. So that was very profound for me because she meant something. And she was right. She was right, right. So I started to change things little by little. I'm not traveling that much, still doing so many things, involving her in everything that I do.
So you listen to the feedback from your daughter.
She was my mentor.
Unless you work miracles, I assume that there's been some bumps in the road on that journey, as there are with any entrepreneur, and you've had your fair share. Could you share with us what was a really, really tough moment that you had in the trajectory of the company?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been in the trenches for 14 years, and I can tell you that definitely being an entrepreneur requires to overcome a lot of these challenges. And one challenge for us was that, in fact, we actually launched a little bit too early. We were one of the pioneers in the year 2008 when we launched Buzo. We developed the concept in 2007 when, as mentioned, I met my co-founder Adrian during the MBA, and we thought that there's nothing out there to learn languages online, so we came up with this idea and launched after the graduation. But at that point, if you remember, the app stores hadn't launched yet. So the iPhone was out there, but just the app stores and the whole app ecosystem hadn't been out there yet. So we built the entire business as a desktop business because there was no other alternative. But then soon after, we realized that mobile is going to be a very important platform for us, because then you have your language trainer just directly in your pocket. But already we had been building the platform for a couple of years. And as soon as we realized we had to change to a mobile-first strategy, it also implied that we had to completely rebuild the entire business, because our entire backend, the content, the way we had designed it was made for large screens, not for small screens, payment methods, and so on. So it required quite a big replatforming and technological change that in fact took us at the end 2 years. In that moment, I also learned the hard lesson of technical debt, that you have to pay it back, and therefore it took us 2 years to really get out of that. And during that time, our revenues were not growing. We had other competitors who then launched with a mobile-first approach, and we were probably a bit naive also to scale too fast, and had therefore to scale back as we were running out of money. And I think we were lucky to push through these dark moments, but it was a difficult time. And luckily, we got a second roll of the dice. And equally, after near crash, 6 months later, we were able to raise 6 million euros from McGraw-Hill Education, which again confirms that there's a very thin line in entrepreneurship between success and failure. A company that nearly went bust and could actually raise money a couple of months afterwards, and we were able to scale and accelerate again.
Could you give us a little flavor for sort of what are the big differences that make it a shock in culture?
Yeah, in every area, from the basic one, like the language, right? So Chinese people, when we started talking in English, not Spanish team, English is their mother language, not for Chinese team. Then it's like many times suddenly we receive all documents in Chinese, and the readers are Spanish. It's like, hey, what has happened? So this still happen every day. So we need to, like, even the timeline different, right? They started a conference call at a completely different time slot. And this is like the superficial one, right? Okay, with time we can improve it. But there are a lot of mindset challenges, like the logic. The Chinese logic are very different from European logic. For instance, our app in AliExpress, still many users. All of our consumers and our local merchants, they complain that we use too many colors. The European style should be clean, clear, and beautiful, you know? So this is like the style, probably using a black, white, gray tone, that's enough. But it's still very difficult to change this mindset. So even though we have a lot of European team members in our UED team, designer team, but still our app is so colorful. You can see that we have AliExpress Plaza, which is a online channel within our app, specifically for local merchants. Within Plaza, it's like a more clean and clear, more black and white. But once we have this, our promotion days, like 11/11, the Singles Day, or the World Shopping Festival, then all the red, the green, any color just come.
Any thoughts, quick thoughts on helping us as managers, as leaders, or colleagues out there in the working world, how we deal with the world and the turbulence, as you said. How do we deal with turbulence? Any thoughts on turbulence management, so to speak?
Read more. That's what I tell my students. Read more. Which is not a very helpful answer. I think that I think perspective helps, right? I think we need a perspective on what it is we're trying to achieve, and this is part of the problem of climate change in a way, is that it helps us focus a little bit on that kind of underlying goal of what's the purpose here. And in a way, as part of a business school community, we're attached to a language that is pretty much the old school economics of invest in the fundamentals, build up your infrastructure, and look for sort of steady year-over-year economic growth, and then have a healthy economy. And the problem with that is that the healthier our economy, the unhealthier our ecosystem, because our economy is based on an 80% carbon-emitting fuel technology, and those are just incompatible. So we need to start challenging some of these core assumptions. I think we need to start challenging, for example, the idea that sort of expanded economic consumption is the only way for us to sort of see ourselves into the future. And I think that takes creativity, thought, and perspective.
So your career,
yes.
Tell us about your career. I mean, you've had some bumps in the road. Tell us a little bit about them.
Not some, but many bumps. Really, sometimes I feel that failure, that's not the end of things. There are sometimes ways to go around it. And just now you mentioned about the best version of you. When I was in banking, I always feel I'm not good enough because I didn't come from a privileged background. I didn't go to an Ivy League school, and the fellow MDs around me, some of them, their family can buy banks. One call away, they can reach the richest people in the world.
So you didn't have the kind of the embedded network to draw on?
No. So then I say, how can I feel better, or how can I create impact or do more? Then I thought, instead of being the most valuable player, why not become the most improved player? Because when it comes to most improved, I'm sure I've already improved a lot, and just that thinking change helped me deal better with the situation. I feel much better about myself.
I mean, could you share with us a little bit about, obviously, didn't feel good when you got the news from AstraZeneca, but tell us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you felt, and initially, and then, so there's sort of the 10-10-10 rule. 10 minutes later,
I am super happy
10 minutes later, 10 days later, and 10 months later.
It's amazing that you tell me this without having spoken, because I have written a book about this, and it's called The 10 Steps to research after something like this happened. And it is based on timing, as you said.
So 10 minutes, you get this news, 10 minutes later, what were you thinking? What were you feeling?
Well, this
Shocked,
is a normal process. Super lost, because you are used to having a big company that supports you. Angry, very angry. So I learned to calm my anger. Super afraid of not being able to find my way. Afraid of the basic things, paying the bills. That is something basic, but
of course,
next month you are not going to have your nomina, no?
Yeah.
So, and then you start realizing, Lee, that every day the sun comes, that spring comes, and after spring, summer, and after summer, autumn. So you can stay on fear, anger, and not understanding, or you can take all the tools that life have given you, because I am a gifted woman. I am super, I have to give a lot of thanks. I'm lucky. Take all of that and say, what can I do with all these amazing things that my parents, EI, and the companies where I've worked have given me? Because that is my responsibility.
So it was kind of, I mean, a tough challenge initially, but then you shifted to this mode of opportunity. A new doors opened.
There is no other way to face it. One thing that I've learned is that in Spain, I don't know why, we tend to hide when one of these things happen. It's like if you were marked with a negative, and these are things that normally happen in a career. So that is why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to not forget, to heal, and also to help.
Because help others, right?
Help others, because if I would have somebody next to me the first week, I would have not called anyone. Because first weeks, you are not yourself. You don't know who you are, you don't know where you are, and you don't know where do you want to position yourself in the future. So you need to be alone. You need to swallow, digest.
Game-changing moments. Kind of. And those could be, moments where it's a particular moment where some of us can say, okay, I got some feedback or something happened and I questioned something fundamental about myself, my thinking, whatever, my behaviors, and I made some changes. Or sometimes it's more of a, it's a more of a gradual process. Any game-changing moments that, Vicente, that you could share with us that you went through?
Yes, I think there are a couple, but very recently I took a sabbatical, 4-month sabbatical. I was in charge of the ride-hailing part of the Cabify's operations, which is right now it's most of it. And after 10 years, I was tired. I was mentally and physically tired, and I realized that I need to change. I mean, it was not going to be good for me or for the organization to just keep in that position and not make anything. And it was life-changing because it helped me to have some space, some separation, and coming back, because I really love the company, the people, and what we do. I'm in the logistics side now. I'm really happy to be in there, but I had to take some time off to realize this. And I also realized something, which is that once you have the correct culture and structure, individuals are just a tiny part of it. I thought, I'm not sure if I can do this. I mean, which one is going to come back after me, and what's going to happen? I was worried about that. And at the end, I mean, we find someone who's, I would say, better than me in most of the areas. So that was a good change for the organization. And it was smooth, it was fast, and people were, I mean, there was not really a big impact on that. And I realized, wow, this made you think. I mean, a lot of times you feel the pressure of the world. I mean, and we need to go and do this and do that, and you tend to think that this is something that it's on me, and it's not. It's on the whole organization, and if you manage to make that clear, and if the organization is well prepared to do that, leaders go and pass, and things continue. And that was good for me because it really liberated me from the pressure of my decisions, and what I do are completely crucial, and it makes you be a little bit more free on what you do, and what you decide, and what you propose. And I think that's good. That's good because people can be a part of the whole decision process in a more open way. And I think that's good because it shows that the responsibility between all the team. And it's not that it wasn't before, it was that I was just feeling that it was more on me than it really was.
started to gain like a sense of awareness around my mind. And what I mean by that is I started to realize that the thoughts that I was thinking, they were just simply thoughts in my brain. And what I mean by that is I started to think, you know, what my brain was telling me, like, I'm a loser. I don't deserve anything. I'm never going to amount to anything in life. I can't talk to people. And I started to question those. And I started to ask myself, like who's saying that? I don't really think so. And eventually this led me to this moment, like at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, where essentially like I figured out that my brain is essentially a machine that captures my past history, and then tries to repeat it with my thoughts. And when I was 18, I realized this. I remember going home and I remember like researching and trying to learn more about my brain and kind of basic neuroscience. And I started to learn like, wow, the average person has anywhere from like 30,000 to 65,000 thoughts a day. Nobody really knows the exact number. And I started to realize that like my brain is this machine that is giving me information. And I started to look more into it. And I started to realize like, oh, actually, you know, like you have these neurotransmitters in your brain, for example, called dopamine, called serotonin. And for example, like for some people who have issues with those neurotransmitters, their motivation is impacted. Their literal vision is shifted, how happy they are. All that changes based on these chemicals. And when I realized that, that was the first time in my life where I sort of went from, hey, I'm just like this person and all these bad things are happening to me and I can't do anything about it, to all of a sudden like, wait. If I have this machine in my head that is creating my reality, I can change this machine and then therefore change my life. And when I slowly started to realize that, that was really the beginning of everything.